I'll begin with Olivier and Juliette, because you had collaborated once before on L'Heure d'été, Summer Hours, and I guess that this film, the idea for making this film, for collaborating again, grew out of that first experience.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's two movies we collaborated on. I mean, and you know, I always make a point of mentioning it because we owe so much to André Téchiné, who was the director of Rendezvous. It's really the movie that like made Juliette overnight a movie star, and it was like my first screenwriting credit. I worked with André Téchiné on that screenplay, so you know I suppose that this movie has its roots there. I mean, also because that movie Rendezvous was an inspiration. It was an inspiration for Juliette. It was an inspiration for me when I was writing. I mean, we had it in a way or another in the back of our minds, and then it took us quite a while to finally make a movie together. I mean, we worked together on Summer Hours, but it was an ensemble piece. It was it was possibly a bit frustrating because I think we both enjoyed so much the process of working together. But it was 10 days of shooting or 15 days of shooting, 15 more. But I mean, you know, it was like an ensemble. Yeah, okay. But I mean, you know, it certainly gave us a sense that we want to go further than that. So, you know, I suppose that, and Juliette was the first one to put in so many words. I mean, you know, she's the one who one day called me, okay, so when are we making a proper film together?
And so, just give a sketch, a background of how this film took shape for both of you.
Well, one day, it was during summer, actually. And I thought of an idea of going into the feminine. You know, we need the feminine badly in this world, and so I was thinking, who do I want to do this film with about the feminine? You know, daring it and writing for women. And so I thought about Olivier because in Summer Hours I felt like I missed you. You know, and so I called him and I said, you know, I have an idea about 3 characters in 3 parts and having different points of view, 3 different points of view. And Olivier was very open to it and he said, well, let me think about it and give me 2 weeks, write something and see at the end if something comes out of it. And then 2 weeks after he phoned and said, yeah, I think I have something. But meanwhile, I have to do, you know, another film, as he does, you know, like 2-3 films. He's working mostly 2 or 3 films at the same time. And so he wrote a script. I had the script a year and a half afterwards, and I thought I provoked him, but actually at the end of the day, I felt he provoked me more than I did.
Kristen, what was it in the character that you connected with?
Initially, I got the offer to play Chloe's part, and it was something that I knew so well. I wasn't as interested in living it, and it was also very much from Maria's perspective, yes. The way you got to know her and the way you got, you know, the impression that you get of her is fairly narrow, just because of the eyes that you see her through. And I wanted to really get into something. I wanted to play something that I had observed but not done. And I wanted to work with both of them, obviously. I had to rein in the glee on my face. I had to like make sure that my cheeks weren't turning red and I wasn't like brimming with hysterical laughter when I said some of the lines that I said in the movie, because I think that my position sort of, you know, just the life that I'm living and my experience sort of gave it this irony and it just made it a bit more relevant and interesting, I think. More so than that, because I don't think the movie's a commentary on media, but I think, although it makes comments, I just think the relationship between these 2 women is so unique, and most of the scripts that I read, especially, you know, if you compare them to, European filmmakers, we have a certain set of dynamics that are just reiterated. Like, I mean, it's incessant, it never stops. And so I saw this and I was like, wow, these people are everything to each other. You can't categorize the relationship, and I thought that was really cool. And yeah.
And I would imagine that you and Juliette had a lot of fun finding your rhythm together as actresses.
Yeah, I think we discovered the scene as we were going. And at the beginning, we started rehearsing a little bit together, and then we felt that it was not helpful in a way. So, because Kristen's way of working is different than mine, and I think not knowing what the other was going to play or react was more interesting. And that's really what happened during the shooting, is that Olivier let us free, and that was the deal, you know, jumping into the unknown and discovering the scene and working through it, you know, because from the first take to the, you know, the seventh take, it's a different, you know, it's going deeper and deeper, and that was the chance of working with Olivier, because he loves not knowing, you know, letting it happen, and that's really his quality. And I really realized that he transformed it tremendously as a director from working with you in Summer Hours. That there was a freedom in the way of directing or not directing that was actually very creative, and so every day was a bliss. Every day was like, oh wow, we're able to really get in and discover who we are, because we don't know before we actually do it.
Hi, congratulations everybody. Juliette and Kristen, could you both amplify a little bit about what you just said, Juliette, about your different ways of working and how that affected the film? And was it always, Olivier, going to be set in this world of acting and theater?
Well, Kristen just takes the text in the morning, she reads it 2 times and she knows it, and she goes for it. As I asked for a month in advance work, working with a coach who I didn't have, but I had somebody helping me to rehearse, thank God. So our process is different because our rhythm is different. Kristen is very quick. She has this kind of, you know, seed of genius, and I'm working like, you know, like, and then it feels very free and all, but actually it's a lot of work behind.
Oh yeah, yeah. She summed it up. No. Oh man,
Well,
I mean, I was kidding. But please,
if it
yeah,
was
go.
always set, yeah, it was. Yes, I mean, you know, the thing is that I started with the idea that I wanted to use Juliette in a film as Juliette. So, you know, what does Juliette do? She works. So it kind of one thing leading to another. I mean, that's how the narrative took shape. And you know, the thing, I like the idea of it's not just that I liked the idea of Juliette playing an actress. I realized when I was writing that the work of an actress is not so much about the superficiality or the technique of acting. It's about absorbing humanity. It's about understanding other people's pains, and try to find within yourself the truth of those emotions that are universal emotions. So ultimately, you know, this is not a comment on theater, it's not a comment on art, it's just a way of showing how the day-to-day work of an actress is beautiful in the sense that it's really about understanding fellow humans, and often even it involves pain. It involves a lot of joy, but it also involves pain, because often movies, that's what movies are about. So yes, it was always with that background of stage, etc. But ultimately, you know, it was really about digging into emotions, and with the help of incredible actresses.
I want to thank you for honoring the craft of acting. And the relationship of the 2 actors, or all the actors on the screen. It's just quite extraordinary in this particular time to see this kind of craft elevated in such an accessible movie. I wanted to ask a question about the device of a play. You know, we're watching a movie, we're watching actors prepare, we're watching relationships develop, but the distancing from the technology, all the digital stuff, all the things that are in everyone's hands and doing, you are working towards a play, which is very much a live moment as opposed to a cinematic moment. Could you talk about why you chose that and how the actors made that adjustment from film, which you're doing, to a play, which is at one moment?
Well, play is, you know, the thing is, the text of a play is very, where it's happening. Movies, it's more complex. It's shots, it's dynamic, it's completely different dynamics. When you are rehearsing a play, you are in the core of the emotions or of the storytelling. So that's what I was looking for, you know. Yeah, I would not have been interested in representing, for instance, Juliette and Kristen rehearsing a film, because it's not the same techniques, it's not the same approach. I mean, it's similar, but it does. I suppose that you don't have a sense that you are very really in the texture of the craft of the art. So. When I started writing, I started, you know, my first question was, what are they working on? You know, what play are they working on? And because Juliette works, she's rehearsing. What is she rehearsing? She is rehearsing a play. With who is she rehearsing? She's rehearsing with an assistant. The assistant is going to be a younger woman. So what are they going to rehearse? Maybe something that has to do with their relationship. That would be interesting. So instantly what you think of is this great play by Fassbinder, The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant. So you know, my first approach, so why not that play? Why not insert bits and pieces of Fassbinder's play into the film? And gradually I realized that it did not work because, you know, it's stuff written for the stage, it's much longer, it's, you know, it's more complex, and it works on its full length. So, you know, so why not do my own condensed, simplified, brutalized version of Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant, which is what I ended up doing. And of course I was interested because it had to do with aging, it also had to do with more complex issues like desire. I mean, the reality or the not reality of desire. You know, this is an actress which is trying to understand what's going on inside that place, so she has to absorb, including the physical emotions of desire that are working in that play. So, you know, that's the process.
A quick question of clarification. The clouds of your title that eventually roll into the river and sort of overwhelm the entire atmosphere, including the actress, are briefly seen, if my eyes are right, are briefly seen in the scrim that separates to open the play, suggesting that there is some metaphorical connection here in the content and in the concept of the film. Could you tell us about that?
Well, you know, it's the title of the play is Maloya Snake, so that cloud phenomenon is pretty explicitly the inspiration for the play. So yes, of course, Klaus, who's staging the play, is using that 1924 Arnold Funk documentary as you know, as an opening to the play, and he projected on this screen in the forefront of the stage. So yeah, of course, there is an echo between the play, between our film, between real life.
For each of you, ladies, what were the challenges you found in this movie? The hardest thing you found in this movie to do?
For me, it's like being present from the beginning to the end because I didn't have a day off. So how do I you know, be present every day in a different ways? Because for me, I almost play 3 characters in the movie. You know, the actress at the beginning, and then the working time, and then at the end it comes up to the characters she's playing, and so the challenge is somehow allowing to be naked, you know, every day, and also showing the difficulty, what it costs to act, to give yourself, there's a sort of abnegation of yourself as an actor. You have to serve a part, and putting yourself into layers of emotions that you don't always want to go through, because they are tough ones. And I think the way of working with Kristen allows us to also to find light moments as well as, you know, deeper moments, and it needed to be seamless. So you go from one world to the next one, and it just feeds itself naturally, and that's it. But there's a mystery as you're working, because you don't know the result, and somehow I don't want to know the result, because the process is more interesting than anything else to me, in my eyes. That's it.
You know, I think with this more so than most things you know, she says that I learn lines quickly, and that's solely because I don't want to know them. I want to reach for them, and I want to really. I'm addicted to that first experience feeling, and so I know it sounds kind of like a boring answer, but this movie was not difficult. It was very revealing, and I didn't strain. I was never pushed, and that's to their credit, because I have a tendency to do that. I sometimes, you know, not so pointedly, but there's probably doubts and questions in my mind regarding myself, and then I use inertia and I use nerves to sort of overcome that, and working with them, and it is like an entirely different approach. It's a very like European way, is to allow yourself to discover it, and I mean, that's always been my inclination. That's always what I've been drawn to. But in this case, more than ever, I didn't feel pressure. I didn't feel expectation. I felt truly like we were these characters, and I was interested in the script because I thought that, you know, like I said, it was a unique relationship, and I thought it was an interesting commentary on a world that I live in. And I thought it was really heady and thoughtful and intellectual, and I hadn't done much dialogue before. And then when I got to set and we started to traverse this journey, I was just really surprised every day about how the movie is about so many things, and just those like two very contrasting perspectives and stages of life that come together and offer each other something, and you know, offer these like sort of eye-opening, really cathartic experiences that are really, I mean, it's exciting, but it's also extremely painful. I think I'm happy being uncomfortable, and I'm also, and I have so much fun with her. Like you know, she like perplexes me in every way and gets me going, and I never stop thinking around her. Yeah. So anything you see in the movie is just what was happening, and so yeah, it wasn't hard. It was just, it was definitely like a ride, and I didn't know where that was going at all. I liked the script because I thought it was interesting and I thought it was smart. But then afterwards, it was an entirely emotional experience.
But if I can add something, it's no, because one thing I want to add to what you said, and even what you said earlier, is you were always my first choice for the character of Valentine. It's just that somehow the script didn't get to you in the first place. So whenever we finally connected, it was another actress doing the part, and it would have been a completely different film. And luckily,
I was tormented by the idea of not being able to play that part.
No, but I mean, it's really what I remember vividly when the conversation we had, and when you said that, you know, the reason why you preferred the part of Valentine, and I thought this is more or less when the film like took shape for me. I completely understood, because I understood what you were saying, and I understood you were right, and I understood also that that it was that part that allowed you. I mean, it was like your entry door into that movie, and that was extremely precious for many reasons. Because it's something I realized while we were making the film, is that how much you, Juliette, Chloe gave of themselves in the film, not in a sense of your work or whatever, but of your own identity. It's a movie where you ultimately never forget that you are watching those actresses. I mean, the fact that you know that that those actresses are playing those parts is part of what the film is about. And it's exactly when you were saying about the complexity of the film. It's not that complex, but the complexity is created by that. By the fact that it's a movie where you are constantly watching both the actress and the part, and it's what makes me specific. And I did, and I think it's looking back on it, it's kind of the conversation we had which made me realize that.
It's not revealed in the film, but what was the difference in the scenes that Wilhelm had written later in his life that were then given to the actresses to play in the play?
Sorry, I did not.
The difference between scenes that the playwright
like
Wilhelm
the
wrote later in life.
quote unquote new scenes.
Yes, the new scenes.
The new scenes. It's well, the new scenes are pretty much about time passing, in the sense of a writer all of a sudden realizes that with the person having written a play about time, he realized that the fact that the time has passed on that play adds a layer to it, adds something to it. So he needs to put those scenes in, which ultimately should be or would be or could be the key to understanding exactly what's going on. What I play with is the fact that, during the whole film, we're watching those actresses struggling with the meaning of the play and trying to get to the bottom of it, and so on and so forth, and being, just being obsessional about getting this nuance right. Am I doing it? And at some point, when it's actually happening, this is all forgotten. All of a sudden, those scenes that were talked about but never accessible, they become accessible. They're there, and ultimately, no one cares. Because the whole point for Maria is to get to the point where she can approach the character of Helena with the same candor, with the same innocence in a certain way as she approached Sigrid. And at that point, she doesn't want to know more, she wants to know less, and she doesn't care about the new scenes.
Thank you, Olivier, Juliette, Kristen. Thank you.
Thank you.